More random radical items from the basement. Hey Radical Basement Dwellers, Radical Ryan Hunter here, your host on the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, as well as It Came from the Basement, where I go into my parents' basement and find items that have been locked away by the sands of time. And for anyone interested, I have not been taken by hoarders yet. They haven't got me.
Sorry, I never had a partner before. We'll get it together.
You might notice the first item in my hand is from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and this is the White Ranger's sword, Saba.
Activate the Tiger Sword! Tiger Sword, power up!
Earlier in this series, we had a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episode, and I keep finding more Power Ranger items, so here is my sword from back in the day. The White Ranger, much like the Green Ranger, blew up. Every item was hard to find back in the 90s, and his sword was the coolest thing because it spoke. And I just so happened to have 2 batteries, so I'm praying that Saba here still talks to us. 1994 from Saban. Here we go. And there's one more button. I'm so glad that still works. I saw that they made reproductions of this now with the old packaging, I believe. And, but here's the real deal. Worse for wear, of course. Mr. Saba, he lives on. Any old school gamers out there? This is from 1997. It was a guidebook to Star Fox 64. These guides back in the day, these unofficial Prima, I want to call them? Prima, I believe is how you pronounce it. When you couldn't get past a certain thing, if it wasn't in a magazine, you looked for one of these guides. And I still to this day have not beat Star Fox 64, but it is a classic.
Do a barrel roll!
It was just so funny to find this from back in the day. $12.99. Different games that are in here. Shadows of the Empire. Ooh. Old books just give me the feels. Speaking of old books, remember going to the circus, a show, maybe a live presentation such as The Wizard of Oz on ice?
The Wizard of Oz on ice.
My parents took me to see this back in the day, and this is the program book. For anyone who doesn't remember this lost piece of ice skating history. I was a huge Wizard of Oz fan growing up. I think it's just always that magical story of being transported to a mythical, magical land. And this is from 1995. Oh wow, Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey? I do remember seeing this production, and just a really cool piece of history, I think. They also had action figures from, now I know it sounds crazy. They weren't really per se action figures, but they had little figurines of each of the characters as well that I remember my parents got me because I was so thrilled to be able to have like, oh my god, I could have a Tin Man and a lion, and they're actually action figures. To be continued. You never know what I'll find in the basement. Maybe they'll join this program book. Okay, seems like we're going with a theme here, and there is more video game Next Generation magazine. Next Generation Online magazine, December issue 48. What year was this? December of 1998. Oh my God, what a time. Oh, these ads, they just bring back such memories. Back in the day, there was nothing better. And what was really fun about this? Video games that are in development and movies that are gonna come out. And this is in 1998. And I wanna tell you, we are on something funny here. So this is when Resident Evil was being written by George Romero, the script that was canceled. Okay, so this is cast Sarah Michelle Gellar, unconfirmed, and Jason Patric, confirmed, 1999. Because it says Sarah Michelle Gellar is just one of many hot young actresses who soon may star in video game movies.
I'm the Slayer. Chosen one. She who hangs out a lot in cemeteries?
They have Sarah Michelle Gellar for some reason being in the Resident Evil movie possibly at this time. We also have Mortal Kombat 3, released in 1999, and Tomb Raider. The Tomb Raider actresses considered include Elizabeth Hurley and Sandra Bullock, 1999. Oh, George Romero. Duke Nukem, Dolph Lundgren, starring Dolph Lundgren. Doom, Wing Commander. And some of these movies ended up getting made. And heck, we're on reboots of Resident Evil and Tomb Raider a few years ago, so you know you're getting old when things are already getting rebooted in your generation. This is so fun. This is a Toys R Us ad from around the same time. Look, we got Game Boy Color, Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, the walkable Pikachu thing, which I remember having. It was almost like a Tamagotchi Pikachu. This actually has my parents' address still on it, so. Ocarina of Time. Oh. Up next, a George Romero's Dawn of the Dead from 1978. This is one of about, I think, 3 or 4 different versions I had on VHS at the time. This one was from Anchor Bay. The date is 1999. This, at the time, was the anniversary edition, and I believe it was the director's cut. Yes, okay, so this was the director's cut, and up until then, I did not have the other cut of the movie, and there's various scenes between the different cuts that you get more of the story with Dawn of the Dead, which is one of my favorite movies. I can't say that enough.
Dawn of the Dead.
I love this. Thank you, George Romero, speaking of that, for my favorite movie. More video games and more Sarah Michelle Gellar with Buffy the Vampire Slayer for Game Boy Color.
The Slayer.
Yeah, that's me.
I was so excited when this came out, because at the time there was a Buffy Xbox game, and I did not have the Xbox at the time. Years later, I ended up getting an Xbox and then going back and getting the Buffy video game for it, as well as the Chaos Bleeds, the sequel, which I was able to play for GameCube, Nintendo. But at the time, this is 2000. And look, I have passwords, I guess, in the game for the game inside. I believe this was in season 4 this took place in. Seemed like Buffy was at the height of its merchandise, season 3, season 4. So that looks like it also comes with a poster. Ooh, Buffy. And then inside, I found this floppy disk with Buffy and Angel pictures and fan fiction that I wrote. This is very retro, this floppy disk. I was not expecting to find that in here. Is in here. Hopefully it's together with the Game Boy itself. Why that sound? Anyway, basement dwellers, that was another episode of It Came From the Basement. Always find me every Friday on the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, which is having new episodes all this month leading up until next September. So enjoy all of those. And just remember, you never know what you can find in the basement.